Fact of the matter is, people don't hire companies, they hire people. Hey everyone, welcome to the Knoxville Business Show, and we are with BK Hardin with DIY Garage out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And BK, how are you this morning?
Doing great, Jason. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Good to see you this morning. We've been running the Knoxville Business Show now for a few weeks, and it's just been a pleasure to bring businesses to the community and provide you some exposure and really have an opportunity to kind of tell your story about yourself and about your business. And I'm sure our viewers are anxious to hear a little bit about BK and, where you're from. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, again, thanks for having me on this morning. Give me a chance to talk about what we've got going on with DIY Garage Knox. I am originally from West Tennessee, a little town called Adamsville, Tennessee, and town of about 1,800 people. I came to the University of Tennessee in 1985 to go to school and be a part of the football team there. And, I walked onto campus and there were more people at the University of Tennessee on campus than were in my whole county. And so I was a little overwhelmed coming to the big city, but loved this area and wound up staying in this area since then. And so I've been a part of the East Tennessee area in one way or the other since 1985. I always laugh. My first adult life, I was a football and baseball coach at the high school level here locally. I taught at Farragut High School, Gatlinburg Pittman, coached at Maryville College a couple of years, and got out of it when my kids were at an age where I was missing a lot of their stuff because of the games that I was coaching, and wound up, as a crazy thing, wound up in law enforcement about 3 or 4 years after that. And worked for the sheriff's office with Knox County for a few years, and then went to work with KPD, where I'm still with KPD now, and work with them in the role as a school resource officer at Vine Middle School. So I get to spend, when school's in session, I get to spend my days with inner city middle school students, which is just a wonderful opportunity to share with them and to sort of create that bond between law enforcement and the community, which has been really special for me.
Oh, that's really cool. So, you've kind of been kind of diverse all around. And it seems like most everything kind of centered around education, the school system.
Education and service. I realized, I got out of education and went in the business world for a little while because I thought I had to make, I was supposed to make money. And was successful, but I was miserable, and realized that, in my heart, I'm a public servant. And so taking that, whether I'm in education or in law enforcement, it's really a fine line between those two for me. I even from a law enforcement standpoint, I try and treat that as educational opportunities and utilize that experience and that background as well. And, providing service is what DIY Garage is about. It gives us the opportunity to provide a place for people to come and do the work that they love to do on their own cars, and to be able to, not have to crawl around on their driveways or in a parking lot or those kind of things.
Well, and that's super cool. And I want to deep dive into that here in a second. But you said something, what I'm going to say is very profound there a second ago when you were talking about really, I'm going to put it kind of back in my own words, but you were talking about money versus happiness. And that is, to me, so important. We've got a friend, his name is Bobby Idols, and he runs a little bitty, let's just call it a Sanford & Son store in Rocky Top, Tennessee. And we had him on doing a live video, and he was talking a little bit about kind of if he had one thing to do in life, what would that be? It wasn't necessarily like I wanted to make $1 million or I wanted to do this or I wanted to have this. It was really and truly about being happy and having a healthy family. And BK, I do quite a bit of business counseling and coaching with a variety of different industries. And one of the things I kind of talk about is, number one is what's your why? Why do you get up every morning? And then number two is, you can be making $39,000 a year and be happier than the person next door who's making $368,000 a year.
Yeah. What's crazy about that, Jason, is so at the time when I was, I went into financial services. When I taught business. I taught accounting and business law and intro to business. And so I had that business background and interest, and I tried to take that into the business world. And like I said, I was very successful, but the problem was I was in more debt than I had ever been. I was unhappy. There was trouble at home, just not where I wanted to be and where I needed to be. And so when I made that transition out of that into something that I enjoyed and something that was fulfilling to me personally, and that I felt good about getting up and going to work every day. And not to say that law enforcement is always, roses and everything that way. We all know that there's an ugly side of society out there that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But when you see that person and you make a difference in that person's life, it's amazing now that on a third the salary, the more things that I have and the less debt that I have, and the life I'm able to live, because it's more of a fulfilled life.
Mm-hmm.
The focus is in a different place, and I think, my relationship with the Lord has helped me with that as well, to be able to take that and go, how do I need to be used? And, it's been an amazing journey and transition for me, but, you never know.
No, that's right. And I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. And I say this quite frequently, tell God your plan and watch him laugh at you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
and I'm the guy that, Lord, give me patience now, and be careful when you ask for things that give you an opportunity to to be tested and to be challenged, because he will challenge you, and he always has our best interest in mind.
No, absolutely. And so I want to kind of deep dive a little bit here. So I don't know if you know, BK, but I spent 20 years in the Army. I've got a few I love me things behind me there.
Right.
And, I was first introduced to the concept of the business that you developed in the Army.
Yeah.
And, they have a garage, and you can frankly take your vehicle down there and you can do your own work. And it's kind of a cool, manly thing to do, quite frankly. It's just cool, like to change your own oil. I mean, to do now, and I can do some, don't get me wrong, I can do some very basic level things, right? But anything beyond that, it's out of my wheelhouse. Now I've got a really good mechanic that I take it to, but A, talk a little bit about the concept of your business, and then B, like, what the heck, man? How did you come up with this idea?
So the concept, like you said, it's common on military bases, around the world. It's also very common in Europe and Canada. It's something that Europeans are a lot more comfortable with and do on a regular basis, and Canadians as well. It's not that common in the United States. I think our mentality here is, I'll just pay somebody to do it for me too many times. Well, I think we're also a little bit brainwashed by the car manufacturers and the dealers, and not to put them down in any way, but we're sold on this warranty, and we're sold on, well, if you do this work, it'll void your warranty, or you need to bring it in here and have it done by a professional, those kind of things. But with the advent of the internet and YouTube and people willing to make mistakes and document their mistakes online and share that with you, it has given people more of an opportunity to learn these things themselves. I doubt very many of us do anything at any time that we don't go online and look and see how it's done now. It's just sort of become our way of doing business. I'm getting ready to install something. Well, I'll Google that, or I'll YouTube it, or whatever, and I'll find somebody else has done it and already had problems probably.
Sure.
So I'm going to learn from their mistakes. So we're building on that ability and that opportunity. I've got a Corvette and love working on it. but it sits 3 to 4 inches off the ground, and you pull that in your driveway and you try and do anything underneath that. And you're crawling around on the concrete. You're trying to jack it up on one side and put a jack stand under it. You're trying to get a drill or a rivet gun underneath it to, put something on, and you're just busting your knuckles. You're creating cuss words probably many times that nobody's ever even heard of. And so I'm doing that back in January, and there's got to be a place where I can rent a lift some way, somehow. So I start. What do? I go online and I look for, rent a lift Knoxville and in Knoxville area, trying to find a place. And there is nothing. There is nothing around the area. So I, called a couple of guys that I know that are mechanics, and I said, hey, can I, rent some space in your garage? No, I'm too busy. I don't have, can't do that. Started looking around, and I found a couple of examples around the country of places that were doing something similar to this. And so I just started investigating and going, I think that would work. I think that's something that would go over in this area. And, you sort of look at your market and look at, where you are and where you're living, and know there's a fairly substantial car culture in the Knoxville area, in the East Tennessee area, the roads that we have. And so there's a lot of people that even come and visit here when it comes to driving. And I was thinking about it, and I sort of built this thing in my mind, but it wasn't a reality. And this was just in January.
Yeah.
And, we're sitting here in the wintertime, and I drive Chapman Highway every day. And I'm driving I live in Seymour, and so I'm going up Chapman, and I look over to my left, and I see this old service center, and I'm like, well, that building's sitting there empty. I wonder if it, if it's available. It's a 4-bay. It's, it's got a little character to it. There's no sign. There's nothing. And, we talked about how things happen for a reason. I pulled in, looked on the door. There's nothing. I mean, there's no contact information or anything. There's a small sign on the door that says, in case of emergency, call, with a phone number. I called the number and asked the guy if he was, thinking about leasing the building or selling the building. He said, well, we don't have it listed, but, we'd be willing to talk.
Sure.
Get with him, and it just snowballed from there. So from the 1st of February until today, it has been just an overwhelming time to try and get stuff done.
I love it, man. I love the grind of, like, in case of emergency, it's like, okay, this is an emergency. I need to get in this building,
Exactly.
right? No, the building's not on fire, sir. I just want to rent your building.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So, this kind of came from necessity.
Yeah, it was my
the
own
concept.
desires, my own needs. Could I have probably built something in my garage and had it for my own use and those kind of things? Yeah, but again, I've got that service mentality. Why build something just for me when everybody else can get some use out of it and feel the same, sense of accomplishment when you do a job yourself and you get it done and you step back and look at it and go, I did that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, we got one of our viewers just said define and fill a need.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. I can tell you for a fact that in the Army, that garage stayed busy always. Like I felt like there was always soldiers down there working on their vehicles. So I know that the need exists. I think one of the it's not a problem. I think one of the challenges is just simply educating people and letting them understand the fact that, hey, this is now available.
Right.
And,
I put in my business plan, who are my competitors? And I listed 2 competitors in my business plan. The first one was existing auto service centers. And the second one was people's attitudes and mindsets.
There you go. I love it. Yeah.
That's what we've got to change.
Yeah, for sure. Now, a question I just thought of, and I don't know if you're doing it or if you thought about doing it, is, the number 2 search engine that we have in the world is YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Google's number 1, YouTube is number 2.
Right.
Um, do you have an option, or have you thought about it, or something you're doing? A guy like me comes in and I know that it's spark plugs, as an example, the spark plug wires. Really don't know how to do it, but I really want to do it.
Right.
There's some sort of like, Jason, all you got to do is go search YouTube, or you can watch it. There's a room over here you can watch. I mean, have you thought about doing any kind of instructional type stuff? Or
Well, it's funny you say that, because the way we've got the base set up is each bay has there's a large 50-inch TV on the bay wall, because I mean, when and if we wind up with football and baseball and all those kind of things back on, what do you really want to be doing while you're working on your car? Have the game on in the background, right? But we can pull up YouTube on the TVs as well, do searches that way. But each bay has a workbench with a rolling toolbox, and in that toolbox is a 10-inch tablet. And so that there's Wi-Fi in the garage, and so that tablet is there in the bay with them, so they can pull up any kind of instructional videos. They can pull up schematics, different things like that. They can do all those searches to be able to give them the opportunity to have right there at their fingertips in their bay a lot of the things that they're going to run into and encounter, and hopefully be able to answer the questions. And one of the other things that we have, we're manning the shop with certified mechanics. We've got guys that are working part-time with us that, they work for other service centers and those kind of things. But they're coming to work with us because they love the idea. They want to make a little extra money on the side. And they're coming in as advisors and safety officers. That's their main job, is to just, answer questions from people and be able, we're going to operate the lifts. We're going to do some things to make sure that it's safe. And, we're not just going to let somebody roll in and that's never worked with a lift or never worked with some of the tools or those kind of things. We want them to be available, but we're going to do some protective measures to keep them and ourselves safe.
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome idea. I mean, it's just, Ryan reached over to me and said, hey, we got this guy, BK Hardin, he wants to be on the show. And what does he do? And he said he owns this thing called, you can go and take your vehicle and work on your vehicle. I was like, dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's just what every dude wants.
That's the exact response I want from everybody, but
yeah.
And we've been really lucky. The response has been that from pretty much everybody we've talked to.
Well, and if you think about it, tools are expensive. You faced it. You worked on your Corvette and you couldn't figure out having a place. You understand what needs to be done.
Right.
And the fact that it's only going to cost you $25 for that part. However, if you take it to the shop, it's going to cost you $425 just to open the door. Right. I mean, so what an awesome idea.
And when you look at it from the standpoint of not only are we going to provide the space, well, now you've got a lift. So you've got it up in the air where you can get to that part a lot easier many times. You've got access to air tools. So now you're going to speed up the taking on and the putting off process. You've got the right tools is what we hope, which is another issue you run into at home. So now we've saved you time there. And then on the other side of it, we also have commercial accounts. You can order your parts and materials and supplies through us, and it's going to be in your bay when you get there to do your work. So you tell us, okay, I need these brake pads, or I need this belt, or I need this alternator, or, I need 8 quarts of oil and a filter and an air filter. We're going to have those parts delivered. They'll be in your bay. You're going to pay commercial pricing for those parts as opposed to retail. And you didn't have to go to the store and spend an hour trying to get things pulled in the store or figure out what you need. You do your research. I'm going to leave it to the individual to do their research to know what they need for their car. And then we'll double check that with them when they make their reservation. And then we're going to have that in the bay. So that job that the dealer is going to charge you 2 hours of labor for, now you're not having to pay the dealer labor or the service center labor. And that job that you might have done in your driveway that would have taken 3 or 4 hours, you can probably get done in 2.
Yeah.
Because you've got the space and the right things to do it with.
I love it, BK. I told you I was keeping it 20 minutes. We just hit 20 minutes. So if you can, we'll get awesome, man. I tell you what, I appreciate you being on here. Thank you for your service. Absolutely. If we got a viewer that's watching and they want to find out more information, what's the best way? Where are you guys located at again?
We are located at 6001 Chapman Highway.
Off that run?
We are 3 miles south of downtown, 3 miles north of John Sevier Highway, there on Chapman Highway, right at Colonial Village. Website is DIYGarageKnox.com. We're on all the social media as well, so come check us out. We are having a sneak peek event tonight at 7 o'clock there at the garage for people to come. We're going to have the doors open, pull in there and just see what's going on. You can touch, feel, see that it's real and what we have available. One of the cool things we've got tonight is we've got a professional automotive photographer that is going to be at the event tonight. So come bring your car if you've got something cool that you want a picture of. He's going to be taking photos of people's cars and do things like that that'll be available as well. So look forward to seeing everybody. Make your reservations and come see us and get that sense of satisfaction of doing your own work.
Love it. I love it. BK, thanks again. Wonderful day. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. Reach out to BK Hardin. If you are like every other man and you want to beat your chest and work on your own vehicle, he will make sure he takes care of you. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.